It's time to get your news on. We are VK1WIA.
Yes, it is the national news. It's for week commencing May 19, 2024. And this week, 3 directors, VK3FY, VK4EA and VK8ZZ Plus, a special report on the Aurora, thanks to Roger, VK2ZRH. I'm Editor Graham, VK4BB.
G'day, this is Peter, VK4EA. Following on from the broadcast item last weekend by Scott Williams, VK3KJ, the President of the Wireless Institute of Australia, the Board of the WA wanted to thank Organising Committee of the Bundaberg Amateur Radio Club Conference and Expo, especially Marg, VK4FHAM, Ross, VK4JRO, Dan, VK4OH, David, VK4DN, Michael, VK4JAF, Isaac, VK4NEU, and Keith, VK4WZ. The members of the Bundaberg Amateur Radio Club also deserve a special thank you, Marg, VK4FAM, Lorraine, VK4FCCW, and Belinda, who's studying for her foundation course on. Special thanks to Michael, VK4JAF, Ross, VK4JRO, Owen, VK4FODM, Kelly, VK4WO, Dave, VK4DAV, Graham, VK4GBB, Graham, VK4MOO, Bob, VK4UD, Brett, VK4BDX, Kurt, VK4FUR, Clint, VK4PAW, Brett, VK4TTO, Gary, VK4W2Z, and other club members who supported the event. A thank you also to Wade, VK4WM from the Maryborough Club, who was happy to help with the regular video planning meetings, with WI Director Peter, VK48ZZ. Last week our President put out a special thanks to the Mayor of Bundaberg, Helen Blackburn, who was gracious in agreeing to open the convention on the Friday evening. Council staff were amazing, especially Lizzie from the Bundaberg Multiplex, who really knew what was needed to plan for such an event. And thanks to Sean from Elite Communications, who had an array of communications products, including antennas, radios and fittings. JK Bundaberg donated items for our raffle and door prizes. A big thank you to Altronics, who were not able to attend but donated 100 digital multimeters. The first 100 kids received one of these multimeters. David, VK4 JPS, kindly donated his time to look after the soldering workshops with the younger attendees. And the not so young as well. It was great to see the soldering workshop tables full of kids throughout the weekend, and 100% success all the kits that were made. ICOM Australia had a display on the 905 with accessories up to 10 GHz band on display, and also had a 6-meter AM transceiver, which is the first radio produced by the owner of ICOM in Japan. This radio launched the ICOM brand worldwide. A real highlight for the 2024 WIA National AGM and Convention weekend was a live contact with the International Space Station on the Saturday evening. Kids from the Bundaberg State High School were able to talk with an astronaut on the ISS. A special mention and a huge thank you to Shane, VK4KHZ.
Yes, Shane reported later that at precisely 8:26 p.m, RS Ground Station VK6MJ, operated by Martin Diggins, located in Mandurah, West Australia, established the amateur radio link with the ISS, and the students from the Bundaberg State High School proceeded to ask their questions to US astronaut Mike Barrett aboard the ISS. The duration of the pass, just over 10 minutes. During this time, the students asked 13 questions to Mike, and he provided some detailed responses, complete with some light humour. The signal from the ISS was loud and clear from acquisition right through to loss of signal. The conference hall was packed with attendees, visitors, Bundaberg Amateur Radio Club members and Bundaberg State High School students and parents. After completion of the questions, the school science teacher Dan O'Brien was handed the mic, and he thanked the astronaut for providing this exciting opportunity for his students. Bundaberg State High School, a little bit closer to the final frontier.
Truly inspirational, Shane. Very, very well done. There are also displays by SES, POTA, Satnogs, Waverley Amateur Radio Club, not to mention the many presenters of special interest items held in the auditorium. Joe, VK4JEG, brought along his antique Cat's Whisker radio that is at least 100 years old. The expo was appreciated for recycling amateur radio equipment, lovely old stuff. And thank you also to David, VK4DN, the Secretary of the Bundy Radio Club, who helped coordinate the weekend and the planning and the lead up to the event. This has been WA Director Peter, VK4EA.
This is WIA Secretary Peter Clee, VK8ZZ. At a meeting of the board of the Wireless Institute of Australia this last week, the positions of President and Vice President of the WIA were declared vacant in terms of the Constitution of the WIA. Scott Williams, VK3KJ, was nominated as the President of the WIA, and he was elected unopposed. Peter Schrader, VK4EA, was nominated as the Vice President of the WIA, and he was elected unopposed. Peter Klee, VK8ZZ, was endorsed as the Secretary of the Wireless Institute of Australia.
This is Krista Matrejevich, VK3FY Portable Whiskey 8, on behalf of the Board of Directors of the Wireless Institute of Australia for VK1WIA National News. Dayton Hamvention 2024 attendance by WIA Board of Directors. WIA Directors Lee Moyle, VK3GK, and Krista Matrejevich, VK3FY, are attending this weekend's Dayton Hamvention held at the Greene County Fairgrounds and Expo Center in Xenia, Ohio. This Hamvention is also the Amateur Radio Relay League National Convention, more commonly known as the ARRL. Chris VK3FY and Lee VK3GK are attending the Hamvention on a personal basis, and whilst there will be catching up with ARRL officials. Chris and Lee will be attending multiple aspects of the events, including the following functions: international relations, club and association tables, DX dinner, contest university, and special forums. Further information on the Dayton Hamvention will be provided in the future. This has been Krista Matrejevich, VK3FY Portable Whiskey 8, on behalf of the Board of the Wireless Institute of Australia for VK1WIA National News.
Australiana. Great Southern Lights. This story coming up is by VK2ZRH. Andrew Russell, VK5CV, sent in some interesting recordings for the week. Recordings of VK2WI received in Adelaide at about 9 a.m. local on Sunday via auroral propagation. A quick listen, and thanks again, Andrew. Then it's to Roger.
This is Roger Harrison, VK2ZRH, correspondent from the Gold Coast. Wow, dudes, what a fantastic 4 days it was over last weekend. Aurora was seen all across Australia, as far north as Mackay and Uluru. Wow. And the HF bands were alternately trashed by a geomagnetic storm and later crackling with DX. 6 metre enthusiasts got into some great DX too. On the 2 metre band, stations in southern Queensland were reported working auroral scatter into VK3 and VK5, while VK7s were working into VK2. All this fun came from an enormous sunspot group, said to be 15 to 17 times the size of the Earth, that generated an enormous set of X-class flares, the strongest class, on May 9th, which set off a coronal mass ejection, a CME, a cloud of charged particles that later slammed into the Earth's magnetic field. That sunspot group, known as AR3664, actually set off a series of CMEs over following days. CMEs intensify the solar wind, which is a constant stream of particles the Sun always produces. These CMEs from AR3664, which was facing our way at the time, squashed our magnetic field on the Sun-facing side of Earth and stretched out the geomagnetic field behind. The result was a series of geomagnetic storms rated to be extreme, known as G5. This intensity was last experienced back in 2003 during the dying phase of solar cycle 23. Photos of auroras taken by people with digital cameras and cell phone cameras lit up the social media platforms from Facebook to YouTube for days. Tales of extraordinary DX work by amateurs across the globe also lit up the socials. Back to those CMEs. The solar particles travel out from the Sun at enormous speeds, the faster bunches taking only hours to reach us, the slower ones a few days. When they reach our vicinity, our magnetic field deflects them north and south towards the poles, and the particles, spinning around the magnetic field lines, collide with the atmosphere at ionospheric heights. The particles collide with a thin atmosphere up there, which lights up like a fluorescent lamp and intensifies the ionosphere. That's what you get to see as aurora and can exploit for unusual propagation. That's just the first phase. Many particles captured by the geomagnetic field stream around behind the Earth, where the field is stretched out in a long tail. There, the particles cool their heels until the intensity of the CME and the solar wind relaxes. Then, the stretched out magnetic field lines reconnect across the geomagnetic tail and snap back closer to us. In doing so, those charged particles are rocketed back towards the planet and they plunge down into the ionosphere, creating another auroral show. 2 bites of the cherry. That's all for now. Perhaps I'll take the opportunity to follow up in a later broadcast as Solar Cycle 25 climbs ever higher. By the way, back in the late 1960s I had a job as technical assistant to the Australian Antarctic Division's auroral physicist, Major Fred Bond. I learned a lot about auroras and saw many aurora taken with all-sky cameras at Australian Antarctic stations. Later, I spent a year at Casey Station and saw the real thing for myself. This has been Roger Harrison, VK2ZRH, for VK1WIA News.
From here, there and everywhere, you've tuned to the Wireless Institute of Australia's national news service. We are VK1WIA. Now with international news, Jason, VK2LAW.
Hello. Leading this week's international news from Newfoundland. On Saturday, May 11, Gopan, Victor Uniform 3 Papa Hotel Foxtrot, operating as Victor Oscar 1/Mike 0 X-Ray Uniform, succeeded in making the first contact from North America through the amateur radio QO100 geostationary satellite transponder located at 26 degrees east. VO1/M0XUU Gopan was in Newfoundland, which is just outside the coverage area of QO100. The elevation at Signal Hill at St John's is below the horizon at minus 0.9 degrees. Gopan used FT8 to have a transatlantic contact with David, Golf 0 Mike Romeo Foxtrot in southwest London. David reported it was tough going, with a lot of QSB. In a post on Twitter X, Gopan reported his signal into QO100 was not strong enough to permit SSB operation. Nonetheless, a well-deserved record. A woman in India who had been abducted and sold into the illegal sex trade in Delhi by a human trafficking ring is safely home after a 5-year absence. This after the governments of India and Bangladesh combined their efforts with amateur radio operators in West Bengal. The woman escaped and fled to Calcutta after 4 months and was taken in by a state-affiliated shelter for people who have suffered trauma and abuse. She underwent treatment for memory loss, and once she could recall the abduction, officials contacted the West Bengal Radio Club, which authorities credit with success in aiding missing persons cases through the club's wide network of contacts. The club secretary Ambarish Nagbiswas, Victor Uniform 2 Juliet Foxtrot Alpha, distributed photos of the woman to ham clubs throughout Bangladesh. He also notified Delhi police, who were able to track down and arrest the trio involved in the earlier abduction. Last fall, California passed SB 244, otherwise known as the Right to Repair Law, which requires tech manufacturers in the state to provide tools, parts and documents that consumers or repair shops need to service or fix devices. Though the legislation didn't go into effect until July, Cal Poly engineers have already embraced repairability to help cut down on e-waste and improve sustainability. Mechanical engineering student Claire France is studying why consumers dispose of membrane computer keyboards instead of repairing them. Claire, who is earning her bachelor's and master's degree concurrently, felt inspired to tackle this concept in her master's thesis after an internship with iFixit, a repair expertise hub for consumer electronics founded by Cal Poly alumni. Dick Rutten, Kilo Bravo 6 Lima Quebec Sierra, record-setting pilot, has become a silent key. He passed away at the age of 85 on May 3. In 1986, Rutten made international headlines for his flight in Voyager with co-pilot Gina Yeager. The pair flew around the world non-stop and unrefueled for 9 days, 3 minutes and 44 seconds. Rutten was a highly decorated United States Air Force combat pilot in Vietnam. His civilian test pilot career had him flying everything from military jets to rocket-powered airplanes, in which he set speed records. In 2022, Mojave Air and Spaceport in Mojave, California was renamed Mojave Air and Spaceport at Rutten Field in honour of the contributions Kilo Bravo 6 Lima Quebec Sierra and his brother Bert had made to aviation. Ireland. And this story shows how we here in VK are not the only ones working on a ham radio call book. It's the intention of the IRTS to create an online call book like the paper ones that were issued a few years back but since ceased. The idea of the initial online call book is to help create an opening for a paper call book to be brought back over the coming years. Members will have the choice of what details they want to include for public viewing. Hopefully, it will encourage their regulator, Comreg, to release more information about those licensed in Ireland, thus in turn lead to a paper call book once again being issued. IRTS members will have a chance to register to have their details included by filling up a short form online or with Pat Echo India 2 Hotel X-Ray at the IRTS stand at all future rallies. Just to tick operational news, but at the international desk, I'm Jason, VK2LAW. See you next week from Sydney.
We are VK1WIA. Now, operational news with VK4FUQ. Felix.
Hello there. Now, contest-wise 2024. VK Shires contest June 8 9 starts 0000 hours UTC Saturday until 23:59 hours UTC Sunday. All HF bands all the way from 10 to 160 metres. SSB and CW only. IAR UHF World Championship July 13-14. Trans-Tasman Low Band Contest July 21st. This contest is another official WIA contest that will count towards the Peter Brown Contest Champion Awards. Yoda Contest 2024. The next session of this year's Yoda Contest will be July 21 from 10 to 21:59 hours UTC on the 5 classic bands using CW and SSB. August 17-18 Remembrance Day Contest on all bands except WARC bands. Alara Contest August 25-26. Wilds work everyone. OMs work wilds only. Suggested frequency all HF bands except 160 metres and WARC bands. Contacts made on Echolink will also be accepted. Now from contests, let's open the DX window to the world. Special call sign HF25 NATO is active until the 31st of August, marking the 25th anniversary of Poland joining the North Atlantic Treaty Organisation. Certificates and limited edition QSL cards are available. Visit qrz.com for details. The Humber Fortress DX Amateur Radio Club in the UK is once again supporting International Men's Mental Health Month and helping to raise the profile of men's mental health 2024 throughout the international amateur radio community. Club members are operating from their headquarters at Paddington Haven, East Yorkshire, using special call sign GB0MMH. The station will be active throughout the weekend, 17 to 19 of May, and in June, the 14th to 16th of June, across all HF bands. Please listen out for the operators and give them a call because your support will help raise the awareness of men's mental health. For more information on GB0MMH, see qrz.com. On air is OR90AL until the 31st of May, marking 90 years since the death of Albert I, King of the Belgians. QSL OR90AL via the Bureau. Northern Ireland. Members of the Northwest Group ARC is QRV with special event station GB0AEL until May 31, commemorating the anniversary of Amelia Earhart's transatlantic flight in May of 1932. QSL GB0AEL via MI0HOZ. Italy. Members of the United Nations Global Service Centre AR Club in Brindisi are QRV as 4U29MAY until May 31 to promote the International Day of UN Peacekeepers. The 4U29MAY QSL route is via 9A2AA. For VK1WIA National News, I'm Felix, VK4FUQ in Ingham.
From here, there and everywhere, you've tuned to the Wireless Institute of Australia's National News Service. We are VK1WIA. Now, special interest group news with Cole, VK3GTV.
Hello, first up in Worldwide Special Interest Group news, it's Summits on the Air. Back around 1990, rock group Midnight Oil had a major hit called King of the Mountain. Now enter Queens of the Mountains. This SOTA-style event will be held June 1st to 3rd. The goal of this Womanham YL or XYL Summits on the Air event is to encourage and inspire YLs to get on the air and on a mountain for SOTA. There'll be multiple special event stations across the US on the air for a fun weekend of sisterhood on the summits. Special certificates will be available for YLs activating and chasing. Look for the special event calls W0Q, W1Q, each numeral through to W9Q, as well as others. Check out the alerts and spots on SOTA Watch 3. Worldwide Special Interest Group's Final Frontier. A company based in Seattle, Washington, has achieved an unprecedented long-distance connection in space with a satellite via Bluetooth. Using a software patch upgrade for some off-the-shelf Bluetooth chips, the Hubble network in Seattle has achieved what it calls the first low-power Bluetooth connection with a satellite orbiting the Earth. The signals travelled a distance of more than 600 kilometres, prompting Hubble's CEO and co-founder Alex Harrow to say in a recent press release that the Seattle company had clearly debunked skeptics' belief that such a feat was impossible. A press release from the company this month heralded the achievement as critical validation for the company, potentially opening the door to connecting millions more devices anywhere in the world. China's lunar lander is on a mission to bring home samples from the dark side of the moon and is using a special satellite to solve communications challenges. China's Chang'e 6 mission to the far side began its 53-day mission with a launch on May the 3rd. The mission contains a lander spacecraft that's expected to drill into the lunar surface near the Apollo crater, scooping up and collecting samples that will be brought to Earth in the mission's re-entry capsule. A relay satellite in a specialized lunar orbit was launched earlier this year to serve as a bridge between the moon's far side and Earth. The satellite is expected to be part of China's lunar missions in 2026 and 28. Worldwide Special Interest Groups, IOTA. The ACMA plans to make new callsign rules for the VK Islands. VK9 is only for Australian external territories, such as Norfolk, Willis, Christmas, Cocos Keeling, Heard and McDonald Islands. Visitors to Macquarie Island will in future get VK7, not VK0 calls, and Lord Howe Island will get VK2, not VK9 call signs. But wait! As we heard at the WIA AGM, and Grant Willis, VK5GR Wireless Institute of Australia Technical Advisory Committee Chairman, writing in dxworld.net, there are several things going on in this space with the ACMA that the peak amateur representative body, the WIA, has been discussing with them. The VK9/0 callsign prefixes is one that people should pause and wait before making any changes while WIA work to achieve a reversion to the original arrangements. That's the policy the WIA is pursuing with ACMA, and discussions so far are constructive. Worldwide Special Interest Groups, Maritime.
Hi all, this is Nathan, VK5OG, President of the South Coast Amateur Radio Club. This year again, we will be participating in the Lighthouse Lightship Weekend on August 17th through to 18th. This will be SCARC's 17th year of participating in the Lighthouse Lightship Weekend at Point Malcolm Nerang. Our lightship number is AU0029. We look forward to having a great weekend away, and we normally get over 30 visitors across the weekend, so if you are nearby, please pop in and say hi. We will be on site from Friday lunchtime through to Sunday lunchtime. We will be on all HF bands with 2 metres and 70 centimetres. We also have an APRS beacon displaying VK5 ARC/portable on aprs.fi. We look forward to catching you on the air or seeing you in person.
Worldwide Special Interest Groups, Museums. International Museums Weekend, IMW 2024, will take place June 15th and 16th and 22nd to 23rd. The purpose of this event is to activate an amateur radio special event station in as many museums around the world as possible. Frequencies, bands and modes are at the discretion of the operators, as is the museum selection. For this event, the definition of a museum can be loosely interpreted. It could be a collection of old cars or one-of-a-kind paintings from a neighbourhood artist. Through this event, organisers hope to present amateur radio to the public to garner support and understanding of the hobby. The first IMW was held in 2002 with over 80 museums, featuring small local venues and large prestigious operations. The event was especially popular among amateur radio operators in the United Kingdom. For information about registration and event awards, visit International Museums Weekends 2024. Worldwide Special Interest Groups, Radio Scouting. And with the latest, it's over to Alec, VK2MV.
Hume Region Scout Fellowship brings more Scout members into our hobby. On 11th and 12th of May, Hume Region Scout Fellowship held a foundation training course and a practical introduction into antenna building and fox hunting set up by Nick, VK2AGQ. Nathan, VK2FOX, delivered the course to 4 youth members and 4 adults at Kentland Scout Hall to learn about constructing antennas and to sit for their first amateur radio license. David, VK2DU, examined 3 youth and 3 adults who sat exams and were successful in obtaining the foundation qualification. 1 youth member was successful in completing a standard upgrade after obtaining his foundation license at last year's Joda Jodi. Once the construction was completed for a 2-meter Yagi antenna, the Scout members set off to find the hidden Fox transmitters. The Fox transmitters didn't stand a chance. And a big congratulations to Chris Horn, VK2CGH, who has just been appointed as Joda Jodi Coordinator for Scouts New South Wales. I understand he has some great plans for the role. For VK1WIA National News, I'm Alec, VK2MV in Sydney. Now back to you, Cole.
Thanks, Alec. Next up, it's Worldwide Special Interest Group's Rescue Radio, India. Nagaland State Disaster Management Authority, NSDMA, in collaboration with Open Source Classes for Amateur Radio India, OSCA India, conducted a comprehensive mock drill utilising amateur radio technology to bolster communication capabilities during emergency situations. Disclosing this to the media at NSDMA conference, NSDMA Joint Chief Executive Officer Johnny Rungmai said that with this initiative, Nagaland had become one of the first states in the country towards reinforcing disaster communication capabilities. And that's it for the segment for this week. I'll catch you next week with more. I'm Cole, VK3GTV.
2024, it's a date on the social scene. 2 in-depth reports from club officials, Spark and ORAC. And 1 new one, which is VK6 Perth Tech 2024, runs September 21 for 2 days at Gidgegannup. But now to Henry, VK2HE, President of the Oxley Region Amateur Radio Club.
It is now only 3 weeks to the Oxley Region Amateur Radio Club's 48th annual field day at the Warhope Showground Hall on Saturday and Sunday, the 8th and 9th of June 2024, during the New South Wales King's Birthday long weekend. There will be all the usual field day activities, including traders, trash and treasure, fox hunting and a homebrew display. The field day dinner will be at the Port Macquarie Golf Club on the Saturday night. The Warhope Showground permits camping, so it is possible to stay on site in your own motorhome, caravan or tent with power and amenities, but you must book ahead with the showground caretaker. I'm Henry, VK2ZHE for VK1WIA National News.
The Southern Peninsula Amateur Radio Club proudly present their 11th Rosebud Radio Fest, to be held at the Eastbourne Primary School on Sunday, November 17, 2024. The Rosebud Radio Fest is one of Australia's premier amateur radio events and features a vast range of fascinating exhibits, all contained in the auditorium area. Outside you can view other related exhibits. As always, a wonderful program of educational forums will be held in the rooms adjacent to the auditorium. Our major door prize will take place at 12 p.m, with many great prizes up for grabs. The Rosebud Radio Fest is fully catered and a sit-down cafe area is available. There is plenty of parking, all free. Doors open to the public at 9:30 a.m. Entry is just $7 per person and under 12s free of charge. Tables are available at $10 each and can be booked online at our Radio Fest webpage, www.rosebudradiofest.com. Inquiries may be made to Mark, VK3PDG, on 0407 844 063. Regular updates can also be found on the Rosebud Radio Fest Facebook page, as well as the Hamfest Australia Group's Facebook page. This Rosebud Radio Fest will be conducted according to all current COVID guidelines. I am Andrew, VK3 Charlie Alpha Hotel, on behalf of the Southern Peninsula Amateur Radio Club.
Thanks, Andrew, and that takes us to the end of this week's WIA National News. I'm Editor Graham, VK4BB. Walk softly.
From Australia, this has been the Wireless Institute of Australia with the weekly news service. This broadcast is in text, audio and video and is accessed on wia.org.au.
Courtesy of Bevan, VK5BD's ATV and YouTube channel, this has been WIA National News. We're back now, live and local, and your voice, your callbacks. And don't forget, tick like.